it's great to see we got it. The spirit, hey, hey, let's hear it.
There were rumors that you tried to kill yourself. Let's set that straight.
That really upset me. And the reason that upset me, well, first of all, having to talk about all this, like, just as a human being, is difficult. Like, I mean, I understand the responsibility as a celebrity to talk about it because people are fascinated by things, but just in general, it's not the easiest thing to just, like, talk about your life or whatever. But the suicide rumor really upset me because I would never do that. I'm too spiritual of a person. I mean, it is not my place to say when I leave this world, that's up to God. And so when people said that, I was just concerned that my fans, like maybe a 13-year-old fan who tries to emulate me or things that I do, might try to, you know, duplicate, you know, that behavior.
At a certain point, you're just working like these ridiculous hours, and people don't understand when you're trying to communicate with people in Australia, in, you know, the other side of the world, in America, in Europe, in Asia. It's just like really, really hectic. And people sit at home like, oh, what's the big exhausting problem? You're on TV smiling, you know, having a good time. But at a certain point, it's like, you know, you're not a machine, you're a human being. Let's take a break and then come back and let's all be happy.
Prior to that, where it all really stemmed from is the fact that I grew up poor. I come from an interracial family. I always felt like the rug could be pulled out from under me, and I've always had this incredible work ethic where I was afraid that if I didn't work twice as hard as everybody else, I wouldn't succeed, and everything I'd worked for my whole life would be gone, and I'd be back living in like a little tiny room in a shack. So, you know, if I had an in-store and I hadn't slept for 20 hours, I would never blow off an in-store or not go because I might disappoint one fan. What I needed was to just have some boundaries in my life, to take care of myself, to say no sometimes, because I never wanted to say no, because I never wanted to let the fans down, because I don't know how, and I do know a little bit better now, but I never knew how to draw the line.
I'm more fragile, and I understand that I have to take care of those aspects of who I am in terms of just treating myself like a human being as opposed to a cartoon character who doesn't eat and sleep and all that. But I'm stronger because I never thought I could get through that type of, you know, hit after hit, smack in the face after smack in the face. And the thing is, you just have to keep getting up and keep on going. And so I guess whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and that phrase really is true. It's all been difficult, but the main thing is to not lose yourself and to hold on to faith. And to one day, there comes a time when you have to say, okay, the bad stuff is behind me. There may still be storms that I have to go through, but as a human being, I am about living in the now. Forget the past, because if whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and you can live to talk about it, and you can live to write about it and make music about it, and perhaps help somebody else have that type of attitude who never would have had it because they didn't have that type of upbringing or didn't have to go through storms of their own before, then I've done my job.
I'm one of those people that always feels kind of like, you know, I still have to work really hard to keep going and to keep challenging myself. And I don't think I've ever said I made it or I'm in. I mean, certain award shows or certain things like that, definitely when I meet the fans and I'm with the fans and they tell me, they give me feedback about my songs and stuff, that's when I feel like I've done something important, as opposed to, you know, I made it. It's more like a song I've written has touched somebody else, and that's what's really
Through the rain. The message basically is you can make it if you have the attitude that you can persevere over any negativity or anything in your life that's going on that seems too much. You can always get through if you have faith. And I wrote it for myself, but I also wrote it for other people, to inspire other people to get through whatever kind of things they go through in their personal lives, because none of us are perfect. We're all human. Like, my life hasn't been a fairy tale, and singing and music and making music and writing songs has been something that carried me through the rain or whatever situation I've been through even as a little girl. It's also one of those things where I've always tried to insert positivity into my songs wherever I can to inspire other people who go through stuff. And I just really feel like if you can, with your music, try to help other people, you know, with whatever they're going through, you know, that's always something I've tried to do. And I think this song is just a classic example of that type of thing. The thing that I've always done, even from the time that I was little, is when there were negative things going on, like in my childhood or in my life, or anything that would bring me down, or people who maybe weren't encouraging me to be a singer, who weren't encouraging me in my life, I would kind of take that and use it as inspiration for writing songs or for singing. Like, you take any pain that you go through as an artist, and you know, the great thing about being able to create and make music is that you can take things that have been hurtful to you and you can release those emotions and make them into songs. And after, even if it's a sad song, it's like you've taken an experience and you've used it and you've turned it into something that is ultimately, you know, helping you, because just the act of singing words that you write down that are kind of therapeutic, you know, for you, is something that's very healing. And then it's also great because you can inspire other people who listen to the music. I know when I was growing up, if I heard positive, you know, lyrics, it really helped me. And so the thing that I've always done and what's always saved me is take the negative situation and put it into my music and make it into a positive. And that's the only thing I can do, you know, is just keep going that way. And then I feel stronger afterwards.
See, I've been the caretaker of my family since I was a little kid. Like, sometimes we play roles in our family. My role was the caretaker.
Yeah.
Emotionally, financially, whatever. And I'm not, you know, upset about that. It's just that
That's the way it is.
I neglected myself as the caretaker. And I have dealt with this in therapy. It's like oftentimes the caretaker will neglect themselves.
I understand that.
Basically what I did is I stopped really being everybody else's, I didn't stop, I still am everybody else's caretaker pretty much. But I mean, I also learned that you have to be your own caretaker too. Because if you put the whole celebrity and music business and whatever other projects you're involved in first before the human being, that's when, you know, anybody will crash physically. Your body just literally cannot go on 1 hour of sleep for, you know, 2 months. It doesn't work. And you know, no matter how tough you think you are, at a certain point, you just have to stop.
I will never allow myself to be at that point. Like, that's the one thing I've learned, because now, you know, if it comes down to it, I'll just have to say no, lock my door, and say goodnight. You know what I mean? And whatever happens, happens. If someone's, you know, the bottom line is it'll be me that ends up, you know, losing money or losing an extra bit of promotion or whatever, and that has to be okay with me, because life is too short.
You know what? I did go to therapy. You know, I believe in therapy. I don't think that that's anything to be...
Nothing wrong with it.
Exactly, but in some people who don't grow up with that type of philosophy, they look at like, oh, a therapist, and I'm like, great, therapy,
But
you know what I
was
mean? Hey, I mean, we're all a little wacko sometimes, and if we think we're not, maybe we are more than we know.
I don't want, like, this whole experience to ruin me as, like, an open-hearted person, or as a person who is vulnerable, or as a person who does like to joke around. I mean, going up and giving ice cream to kids, if that's against the law, you know, sue me and put me in jail. But, I mean, you know, whatever. I mean, I think that I should still be allowed to joke. I'm not one-dimensional, stand on stage and sing hero. You know, I joke around as well.
There's no reason to sit around and stress about it, like, oh, what's this one gonna say, what's that one gonna say? Nobody can really upset me that badly by saying something anymore. I just know I have to please myself and please, you know, please my fans.
I'm not going to stop being me because people don't, you know, get me.
Sure.
It was a mutual ending, and people wanted to blame what happened to me last year on breaking up with him, and thinking that, like, he dumped me and I was all forlorn. And I'm like, well, I know it's convenient for society to believe that women, you know, get dumped by men and then they go into this nervous breakdown and, you know, they want to jump off the face of the earth, which is not what happened. I'm not in search of a guy to come and save the day. You know what I mean? I'm really not. And
If he comes along,
yay for him. But I don't know that there will ever be somebody to save the day, because that has to come from me. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't really picture Prince Charming riding up on a horse and, like, solving every problem. You have to be settled within yourself before that can happen.
So you're not really, like, actively looking to meet that right person?
No, I think when you do that is when you don't meet the right person. You know what I mean? And also, I'm very protective over myself, like, physically. That's why when you asked me that question before and I said it was not a sexual relationship, because I can name on one hand the amount of people, less than one hand, the amount of people I've actually been with in that way. And that's something that, no, it's not necessarily the standard, but it's because I saw things growing up that I didn't want to duplicate. Like I didn't.
Pregnancy,
Right.
HIV.
Pregnancy, all those things.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I really, really am very careful about myself and who I'm with. And I'll make up somebody wait a year. I don't really care. So.
I have always been a firm believer in the fact that if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to believe in you. No matter what happens, no matter who tries to keep you down, you just have to keep on going.
It was about learning to take care of myself in a lot of ways. But in terms of last year, no, I feel like I learned a lesson, and I'm glad I learned it now rather than down the road with 3 kids or something like that. You know what I mean? I feel like I learned a lesson, and I feel like, you know, if you can keep getting hit and hit and hit and you still get up, then you're all right. Because sometimes you have to go through painful things to get to that sweet spot, to get to the place where you really need to be. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I'm tired and I just don't feel like talking anymore and I just want to go to sleep. And sometimes, you know, the fun person that you see on TV, that's really me. Like, I enjoy life. I love life. I'm blessed to have the life I live.
I take each day as it comes, and I think the main thing is enjoying each day, because each day is not promised to us. We have to really just express ourselves to our loved ones every day and really just, you know, live life and celebrate life.